Yo, what is going on, football friends? NFL Addict here today, bringing you another video, the 5th episode of my off-season reviews. We previously did the NFC West. We're going to be getting into the AFC West. Guys, just a reminder here, if you are enjoying these videos, please stop and give this one a like. I'm trying to get to 10 likes on this video, so if you could and you enjoy it, please like it. Don't forget to subscribe if you are enjoying this content. I have tons of stuff coming. So just something to keep in mind. Let's get into the video. As always, guys, we take a look at the free agent additions and the draft picks that were made. So starting off with the free agent additions, we have Damarious Randall. Damarious Randall is a guy that kind of broke out after he made a switch to safety. When he was a corner, he wasn't great, although he has always been a ball hawk. He's been good at forcing turnovers. Before last year, he had 4 interceptions in every season he played in. His best season came in 2018 for the Browns. Last year fell off just a little bit, but was still a solid safety. Definitely above replacement level. I think he will be the starting free safety for the Raiders, with Abram obviously starting at that strong safety position. They play too high, so it doesn't matter who's really starting it where. They just kind of split the field into 2, so just something to keep in mind there. Moving on to Nelson Agholor, who has basically become an internet meme at this point, had his best season in 2017 where he looked like he was turning into a legit number 1, number 2 target in the NFL, and kind of fell off again after that. No matter what, he still offered you something in the kick return game. I think he'll make the team. I think he's good enough after the catch and in this West Coast style offense to make the team. The guy, always a threat, take a slant, break a couple tackles, maybe take it to the house. So, he fits well in this offense. I actually like this signing for the Raiders. Moving on, we have Carl Nassib. I believe Carl Nassib would have been second on the Raiders football team in pressures last year if he had played for them. He had 6.5 sacks, I believe, 6 sacks, somewhere around there. I know he had north of 35 pressures. He's not going to be asked to start here. He's going to be asked probably to come in on 3rd down, depending. I know last year they kicked Furl inside a lot. I don't know if he'll kick inside or if Nassib will kick inside. But either way, overall, he's a pretty good run defender. He is a decent tackler. He's a decent pass rusher. I don't mind the signing at all. Maybe a little too pricey, the contract, but I mean, you're getting a good player that kind of mimics what you already have. And is you need a lot of those guys to kind of come in fresh legs. I like the signing. Jeff Heath, who the Raiders signed, he's going to be moving from a starting safety role to kind of a depth 3rd safety role. Between him and Eric Harris, we'll see who wins that battle. But either way, this is good safety depth for the Raiders with him and Eric Harris. I like Eric Harris a lot. Jeff Heath, kind of a guy that can play over the top. He's decent in coverage. I think a lot of people think he sucks for some reason. He really doesn't. Especially 2016, 2017, he had really, really good years in coverage. Fell off a little bit after that. But, it's not like they're asking him to start. Coming in here as a depth safety. I like the signing for the Raiders. So far, so good for the Raiders free agent class. You heard me say that Nassib would have been second in pressures last year. Well, Collins would have led the team in pressures had he been on the Raiders. A nice pass rushing option here for the Raiders. Kind of broke out last year. He wasn't great. He has had 30 pressures at least every season he played. Last year, 48 pressures, 4 sacks. Not a bad year at all. And this really gives the Raiders something next to Maurice Hurst on 3rd down to push the pocket. I know Maurice Hurst hasn't been exactly what Raiders fans want, but I still think he has a ton of potential. I am just waiting for him to break out. And Malik Collins is already a guy that can get to the quarterback. So now you're adding pressure up the middle. You got the 2 young guys on the outside. Defensive line coming together here. Moving on, Jason Witten, kind of signed him as a veteran presence for their locker room. I know a lot of the young guys in the Raiders locker room look up to Jason Witten, and I think he still has something to offer in the red zone. 2006 to 2014, this guy was probably top 3 tight end in the league every single year. Retired in 2018, came back in 2019. Had an okay season for the Cowboys. He still had 500 yards. He wasn't necessarily great at anything, but I mean, he is older. A veteran presence. Nothing wrong with this signing. The best Raiders signing here was Corey Littleton, the linebacker coming over from the Rams. probably behind Levante David, I'd say the second best cover linebacker in the league. As you guys all know, if you are watching this video and you are a Raiders fan, the coverage from the linebacker core for how many years has been absolutely abysmal. To add Corey Littleton, and who will get to a couple later, Nick Kwiatkowski, completely remaking the linebacker core, especially in terms of coverage. I absolutely love this signing. Raiders brought in quarterback Marcus Mariota from the Titans. A lot of people think he's going to compete with Carr for a starting job. I don't think so, especially with this shortened training camp. He's not going to have time to learn that complex John Gruden West Coast offense. So not a threat to start, but a really good backup. Now you don't have to feel terrible. If the quarterback goes down, you don't have to feel like the season is over. I like the signing. I think Mariota, although he played poorly last year, he had good seasons in 2017, 2018. Kind of average as a rookie. Didn't take a huge step his second year, and then his third year took that leap that you like to see from third-year quarterbacks, and then kind of regressed again. And I think you saw the same thing happen with Carr. He took the leap as a third year, kind of regressed again, kind of working his way back up. Maybe Marcus Mariota will have a similar kind of career path here. As I mentioned earlier, bringing in Nick Kwiatkowski, plays next to Corey Littleton. Kwiatkowski is going to be their starting Mike linebacker. I think I saw that reported, with Littleton playing the weak side. Kwiatkowski is a guy, he's very physical in the run game. He can take on fullbacks, and in limited snaps, we've seen he's actually good in coverage too. He's not Corey Littleton level, but he's probably better than most linebackers in the league in coverage. So again, love what the Raiders are doing here in terms of getting linebackers that can cover. You look at their division, all the good tight ends, all the good pass catching running backs. Love the signing. More recently, I think yesterday actually, the Raiders brought in Prince Amukamara, cornerback, started his career with the Giants, went to the Jags for a year, played 3 seasons in Chicago, and has just never been bad. The guy has been above average or good every single year of his career. Maybe his rookie year he wasn't great, but every year after that, just a really, really solid cornerback. They got the 2 young guys. They got Mullen and they got Arnett. And I know they want both those guys to start on the outside, but right now, at this very point right now, Amukamara is probably better than both of them. I don't know if he'll start, but he's a really, really good player to bring in. I love this signing. They brought in Nick O'Leary, probably just a camp body, a guy that really hasn't panned out in the NFL. He was a decent pass blocker last year, but never a guy that's played a ton of snaps or made a ton of catches, got a ton of yards, just nothing really solid about him. I don't see him making the football team. Daniel Ross, again, probably another camp body. Was terrible in 2017. He was decent defending the run in 2018, and I don't think that he played at all in 2019. Again, not a guy I see making this football team. However, Eric Kush is a guy I do see making the football team simply because he's a really good pass blocker. He's never been great in run blocking. Carr plays well when he has a lot of time to throw the football. I think he's a good interior lineman. He will come in here, he'll be a depth lineman, he'll be a backup, but if one of those guys go down, this guy can come in and he's going to be great in pass protection. He had one decent year, 2016, he was okay run blocking, but since then he really hasn't done anything in terms of run blocking. But again, I think he'll make the team. I like the signing. Getting right into the draft picks here with the 12th pick in the first round, the Raiders went with Henry Ruggs III. I think it came out before the draft that if Ruggs was on the board, they were probably going to take him because that's who John Gruden liked. He does fit well in John Gruden's offense as a run-after-catch guy, a guy that's always a threat to take slants to the house. Obviously the fastest wide receiver in the draft, and he's really good at breaking tackles. Jet sweep option, kind of a decoy. You can run across the formation. He has good tracking ability when tracking deep balls. Now, as always, I will say a couple negatives about every draft pick. He can get pushed off, pressed off the line, and his deep speed is not a threat then. I think if you watch the tape against a guy like Christian Fulton and his teammate Stingley, you watch that LSU game, Ruggs just couldn't get off the press coverage. He really wasn't a deep threat. His speed wasn't a factor. With that being said, John Gruden's going to find a way to get this guy open. And, when this guy gets the ball in his hands, he's always a threat to take it to the house. I know I saw a stat like 25% of his catches went for touchdowns. That's a crazy stat. You know, they had a lot of good wide receivers at Alabama, so for him being so efficient with his touches, that's a great thing. Pick 19, the Raiders shocked everyone and went with Damon Arnette, the corner out of Ohio State. Positives about Damon Arnette is watch him one-on-one coverage down the field, how he attacks the catch point. He is very good, probably the best corner in this class at the catch point. He has really good makeup speed. That 40 time I know wasn't great at the combine, but his makeup speed when you watch it on film is good. He plays a lot faster than that 40 time. I was actually really shocked to see him run a 4.56 because he has really good makeup speed if he gets beat at the line catching up to the guy. Another thing about him is he can play in the slot and he can play outside. He also had his best year last year after coming back to school. Good for him for being a first round pick after almost leaving in 2018. Some negatives about him. First of all, age. He's going to be 24 as a rookie. That leaves little room for development as these Ohio State corners are usually pretty polished coming into the NFL. He's going to have to work on his physicality as in not holding guys. I think his rookie year, he's going to get called for a lot of pass interference while transitioning to the NFL. Doesn't have great feet at the line of scrimmage. You saw a lot of wide receivers run right around him, which is why you got to see a lot of his makeup speed at times. Overall, I think Damon Arnette is a good player. I'm not going to bash them and say they reached for him or anything. I think he was an early second round pick, but, you know, everybody's like, why didn't they trade down? Why didn't they trade down? Why didn't they trade down? I don't know if people in the media just constantly think teams have a million offers to trade down every single time. If they like Damon Arnette and they didn't have any offers to trade down, then you're going to take Damon Arnette at 19. I don't have a problem with it. I think he's a good corner and I think he fits their scheme. I just think he's going to struggle a little bit his rookie year, but have a pretty solid career overall after he learns not to be so physical past that little 5-yard mark. 80th pick, the Raiders went with Lynn Bowden Jr., the wide receiver, running back, quarterback out of Kentucky. I think a lot of people were surprised he was still on the board. I think teams just didn't know what to do with him. But one reason I really like adding Lynn Bowden is because you just added Henry Ruggs, and now you add another kind of gimmicky wide receiver, running back guy on your team to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs. You can see that's kind of what they were trying to do here. I really like what he's able to do with the ball in his hands. I think the one negative I have about him is you're going to have to scheme him touches. I don't know if he's just going to be able to get open in the NFL as a wide receiver. He doesn't know how to play that running back position yet. It's going to take some learning, but overall, third round, I really like Lynn Bowden Jr. Their second pick in the third round, they went with Bryan Edwards. Bryan Edwards probably would have went in the second round if it wasn't for a foot injury while at South Carolina. He doesn't really get open. I'm not going to lie to you guys. He doesn't get open. He just attacks the ball at the catch point and manhandles college cornerbacks. Is he going to be able to do that in the NFL? Well, that's a projection. The Raiders projected he would be able to do that, but he's really going to have to work on actually creating some separation because these corners in the NFL are a lot more physical than the ones in college. But like I said, absolutely great player at attacking the catch point. I think no matter what, you get a red zone target, a guy you can throw the fade to, a big body guy you can throw a slant to in the red zone. So, you know, they're just trying to add as many weapons as possible around Derek Carr. I don't mind the pick. I think he was one of the better wide receivers on the board at the time of the pick. So, good job. Tanner Muse, listed as a safety out of Clemson. To me, he's a linebacker in the NFL. I think the Raiders have even come out and said he's probably going to be a linebacker for them. But this guy, right away, you know he's a special teamer. I think he's going to take a few years to develop in the NFL, which is why I think the third round is a little too rich for him. Just because, like, to me, he can't come in right away and start. He's a little flat-footed in coverage. He has great speed, but not great change of direction. He's going to struggle cover crossing routes in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be excellent in coverage at any point during his career, but he's just tough. He's physical. He's going to give 100% effort, and he's going to be a special teams Pro Bowler probably every year of his career. So in the third round, a little too rich, but, you know, I like Tanner Muse overall as a football player. In the fourth round, the Raiders traded up, I believe, for John Simpson, the guard out of Clemson. I think the reason that he fell to the fourth round is he doesn't have the athletic profile you want. He doesn't have great balance, but I mean, he was a good guard at Clemson. He's a mauler in the run game. He doesn't have the balance to pass block in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be a great pass blocker, but a mauler in the run game, they're not going to ask him to come in here and start. So not a bad pick, a guy you can develop behind the great guards they already have here on this team. The last pick, it was actually in the 4th round, so they didn't have a 5th, 6th, or 7th round pick. They went with Mick Robinson, the cornerback out of Louisiana Tech. Guys, size aside, take away this guy's 5'8" height, make him 6'1", and he would have been a top corner in this class. This is one thing I don't really get about NFL talent evaluators and just talent evaluators in general. This guy, you could make an argument that he played better than every corner in this class not named Jeffrey Okudah. That's how good he was last year. He's being projected to the slot in the NFL, again because of his size, but he played outside at Louisiana Tech. Watch some of the film against these bigger receivers and watch how he just dominates them at the line. Look at I think it's the Texas thing you've probably seen on Twitter floating around. Just watch that. He does that more than just that clip floating around. Really amazing, impress coverage. The best ball skills in this class at the corner position. I don't understand how he fell to the 4th round. This is an excellent pick for the Raiders. This guy most likely going to beat out LaMarcus Joyner if the coaching staff will let him. LaMarcus Joyner, not good last year. This guy projected to the slot, probably will beat him out if it's a fair competition. Overall, guys, I'm going to give the Raiders off-season additions an A-. I think they filled so many needs in free agency from a depth perspective. They also got 2 starting linebackers, a lot of depth along the defensive line, probably even 1 starter on the defensive line. They got depth in the secondary. I mean, that's what you want to use free agency for. You want to fill your needs and get depth. I think they did that. In terms of the draft, they got the wide receiver that I thought fit their system the best. They got a corner that they liked. I know people say it's a reach. They loved him, and don't know what offers they had to trade down. One of the key factors looking at that. I like their 3rd round receivers they brought in, or I guess Lynn Bowden's probably going to play running back at first. I thought Tanner Muse, although maybe a little too early for me, he's going to be a Pro Bowl special teamer his whole career while learning the linebacker position in the early years. So, overall, one more thing. Mick Robertson, probably one of the best corners in the draft if you take away his size. I know it's a projection, but guys, you got to bet on that. Overall, again, A-. I loved the Las Vegas Raiders offseason. That's going to do it for the video, guys. Another reminder to please like the video if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to the channel if you're a fan of the NFL, if you're a fan of the Raiders, if you're a fan of any team. I have so much content coming, so please hit that subscribe button. Please like the video. Again, I would like to get to 10 likes on this one. That's going to do it for this. Again, great offseason for the Las Vegas Raiders. As always, guys, this was NFL Addict. Hopefully, we have football here in 3 months.